Imagine a life where your only reward for being the ultimate girl boss is chronic back pain and a mother who treats blind dates like a full-time Olympic sport. Meet our girls Yao Yufu, the iron lady of her office who's currently running on caffeine and sheer willpower. I know everyone has been working overtime, but I must ask you to work hard today as well. She tells her team, masking her exhaustion with a professional smile. While her subordinates worship her as a goddess of energy, little do they know our poor heroine is one more urgent file away from a total physical breakdown. Long live MS, Yao, they cheer while she's secretly clutching her spine and praying for a miracle. But the universe doesn't give her a spa day, it gives her a vibrating phone. It's her mom, and surprise, surprise, she set up yet another blind date right next to Yufu's office. Mom, have you considered that this is my workplace? Yufu hisses, her back screaming in agony as she tries to argue. But because our nugget is too tired to fight, she agrees to go just to shut down the pestering. You see, ever since she hit marriageable age, her parents have been relentless. She's already rejected dozens of guys, but they just keep coming like a zombie horde. After a quick touch-up to look human, Yufu heads to date number 89, determined to make it her fastest rejection yet. She struts into the cafe, ready for battle. And boy, does she find a villain. This guy starts listing his requirements before the water even hits the table, bragging about his steady job while looking like a generic NPC. Your complexion is so poor, you should take care of your body for kids, he says with the audacity of a man who clearly doesn't own a mirror. He tells her she has poor taste and needs to quit her job to focus on family. Oh, and no seafood allowed because he's allergic. Even though your qualifications are average, your one good point is that you've never dated before, he says, sounding like a total narcissist. Yufu has had enough of this clown. Are you done? I guess it's my turn now, she snaps, flashing a savage smile. She pulls out her phone and starts recording his sexist rant, asking if he's even worthy of her annual salary. The guy loses it, realizing he's been played. You be *TCH, he roars, reaching for a glass of water to throw in her face. But before the splash can hit our girl, a mysterious, handsome stranger steps in, blocking the attack with his expensive black coat. Are you okay, miss? He asks, his icy gaze making the jerk tremble. Yufu doesn't need a knight, she needs revenge. She picks up her coffee and pours it right over the jerk's head. I'll return your thoughtfulness in kind, she declares as the loser scurries away, threatening to tell her parents. Our mysterious savior watches her with an intense, lingering look, his eyes landing on a small heart-shaped mark on her neck. Yufu offers to buy him a new coat, but she's clearly in a rush. If I hadn't helped out, what were you planning to do? He asks, curious about this chaotic woman. She admits she had a plan to film him and retaliate anyway, but his help made the result even better. She hands him her business card and vanishes into the night because work calls. As he stares at the card, he whispers to himself, my first love who ran away right after using me, Yao Yufu. She spots a motorcycle rally poster and sighs, it looks so cool. She tries to force herself into rest mode, but a frantic call from her assistant ruins everything. A meeting was moved up and the PPT is a mess. Being the perfectionist she is, Yufu starts editing the file while walking down the street. Suddenly, a thief zooms by and snatches her phone right out of her hands. My phone, I haven't sent the file yet. She screams, chasing after him in heels until she trips. Just when all hope is lost, a motorcyclist pulls up beside her. Hop on, I'll help you catch him, he commands. Seeing his professional rally racer tag, Yufu doesn't hesitate. She climbs on and holds on for dear life. The thief ducks into a narrow alleyway where bikes shouldn't be able to go, thinking he's safe. But the racer just smirks under his helmet. Hold on tight, he says, and suddenly the bike is airborne. As they fly through the air over the stairs, time seems to slow down for Yufu. For the first time in years, she isn't thinking about spreadsheets or deadlines. She looks at the sky and realizes she's been killing herself for a job that doesn't care about her. She remembers the back patches, the wine tastings for clients, and the coworkers whispering that she only got promoted because she's a favorite. The physical and emotional pain finally catches up to her, and as the bike lands, she bursts into tears. The racer is panicked, thinking he scared her, but Yufu finds her second wind, corners the thief, and snatches her phone back. How dare you target someone like me who has no life? She barks, sending the file while the thief cringes. After telling the thief to explain himself to the police, she turns to her savior to offer him money for the help. The racer reaches up and pulls off his helmet, revealing the handsome guy from the cafe. Can you thank me without using money? He asks with a charming tilt of his head. Yufu is stunned. It's you? She introduces herself, but when he says his name is Weichen, she gives him a blank stare. Weichen, that's a nice name, she says, clearly having no memory of their past. He's absolutely offended that his first love doesn't recognize him. But Yufu is already getting another work call. She thanks him one last time, realizing this wild ride gave her the courage to finally choose herself. The next day, she walks into the CEO's office and drops her resignation. Her boss, desperate not to lose his best worker, offers her a month-long vacation instead. Yufu packs her bags and heads back to her quiet hometown to finally breathe. She realizes she accidentally saved the wrong contact info for her motorcycle hero and sighs, wishing she could thank him properly. But as she's walking through the terminal, a familiar voice calls out, "Hey, Miss Yao." She turns around to find Weichen standing there looking like a dream. "We meet again, what a coincidence," he says with a smirk. "Coincidence? I think not. Our girl's real romance is finally beginning." Our girl is stuck in a car with a mysterious hottie and the silence is beyond loud. He explains that he's just doing a part-time gig at a homestay, while she's just trying to enjoy her long-awaited vacation. Suddenly, her seatbelt decides to jam, and before she can even blink, he's leaning in way too close to fix it. "Why did you choose to vacation here?" he asks, his voice way too smooth for a simple driver. She admits it's actually her hometown, though she usually avoids it for some very specific reasons. He gets bold and asks if those reasons involve a failed romance. Our heroine doesn't lie, she reveals she actually dated someone once. It was way back in high school, and surprisingly, she was the one who made the first move. In a flashback to her second year, we see her approaching a classic blonde bad boy type. She literally points at him and declares, "You'll do." The guy is baffled that a bookworm is picking a fight with him, but she just stares him down and demands, "Go out with me." He's totally flustered, blushing like a tomato while stuttering that he doesn't even know her. But our girl doesn't care about feelings, she just needs him to listen to her plan. He calls her absolutely crazy as he tries to process the sudden confession. Eventually, he just storms off with his friends, leaving her standing there. Back in the present, she laughs it off, explaining she just wanted a fake boyfriend to annoy her parents. Weichen looks her dead in the eye and asks, "Do you want to see him again?" Before she can answer, her phone starts buzzing with a video call from her parents. They've arrived at the homestay, but she's too busy dodging the call to notice the scenery. Her mom is relentless, having tracked her down despite her deleting her social media posts. The lecture starts immediately. Her mom is pushing yet another blind date because she thinks our girl is a failed case. Mom makes a desperate offer. If she brings home a partner, they'll never force her to do anything again. That's when the light bulb goes off. If dating cooperation worked in high schools, why not try it with the guy sitting right next to her? She tells her mom she'll definitely bring her boyfriend home in a few days. She turns to Weichen and makes her pitch, "I need someone to pretend to be my boyfriend. I can pay you a handsome amount." To her shock, he doesn't even hesitate. "All right, let's date," he says with a charming smirk. Her heart does a little thump as he agrees so casually. He leans in, whispering girlfriend just to test the waters, and our girl is officially shook. The drama hits a peak when a woman walks out of the homestay, questioning why her son is suddenly being so helpful. Turns out Weichen isn't just a part-timer, he's the son of the owner. His mom is already sensing some spicy chemistry between them. She recognizes our heroine's name from the booking, but Weichen quickly blocks her to help with the luggage. Mom leaves them alone with a knowing smile, clearly shipping the new couple. Now that they are alone, Weichen wants to get down to business and write up a contract. But first, he's curious. He asks how she really felt about that male student she cooperated with back then. She shrugs it off, saying she thought they were just friends. We see a glimpse of them back in the day, dating through the snow. But the moment the deal was over, he immediately turned around and left. She concludes that they were never friends, just partners. Weichen's gaze turns intense. "Then I won't hold back either," he thinks to himself. He suggests meeting her parents as soon as possible, like tomorrow. "How about tomorrow?" he asks, trapping her with his eyes. Our girl is reeling. "You want to see my parents tomorrow?" she stammers. He leans down, his face inches from hers, asking if she wants their cooperation to last even longer. She tries to play it cool, saying she looks forward to his performance as her boyfriend for tomorrow. They shake on it, sealing the deal amidst the flowers. He says cheers, but when she tries to pull her hand back quickly, the tension is palpable. She waves a nervous goodbye. He watches her walk away, a mysterious smile playing on his lips. He touches his hand to his mouth, whispering that he's already received his payment. Fast forward to the big night. They're at a fancy restaurant and the stakes are high. Her mom is already head over heels for him, asking why she didn't introduce him earlier. Her dad is also impressed, especially when he hears Weichen was admitted as a civil servant. Or so they think. Our girl is sweating bullets as the lies start piling up. The script said civil servant, but the reality is much more complicated. Weichen drops the bombshell. He's a retired cop who's now a professional motorcycle racer. Our girl starts coughing like she's dying to distract her parents. She shoots him a look that says, "Stick to the script." But he's already showing off photos of his racing awards on his phone. She tries to salvage the wreck, rambling about how responsible and caring he is. He plays along, looking her parents in the eye and saying he dedicates his life to the person he loves. "If you accept me, I'd be the best lover and husband," he declares. The parents are stunned into silence, and our girl is fuming internally at his improvising. She decides to pull out the big guns before he says anything else. "We already have plans to get married," she announces. She starts bragging about his prize money and how they'll buy a house together. "We'll be married within 2 or 3 years, don't worry," she says, grabbing his hand to show unity. He flips his hand over, interlacing his fingers with hers, and promises to take care of the kids and the chores so she can focus on work. The parents are finally at ease, convinced this is the real deal. But then, Mom mentions a high school classmate who also became a racer after leaving the military. Our heroine dismisses it, saying it's unlikely to be the same guy. But Weichen leans back with a knowing look. I do know him, he says. He smiles at her, dropping the ultimate reveal. That person is me, Lai Weichen. That person is me, Lai Weichen, he says, dropping the bombshell with a smile that's way too charming for our heroine's mental health. Our girl's brain completely short-circuits as she realizes the name she's been hearing all day finally has a face, and it's a very handsome one. Even her mom is getting a kick out of this, laughing about how it must be fate that these two ended up together again. To keep the act going, Yufu doubles down on the drama, claiming she stayed single all these years just waiting for him. Lai Weichen gives her an intense stare, clearly enjoying how deep she's digging this hole. He leans in close, his voice dropping to a whisper as he tells her, it's my turn to wait for you. He even reaches out to touch her face, and for a second it feels way too real for a fake relationship. They end up holding hands, looking like the perfect couple in front of the parents. Yufu tries to play it cool, calling him a dummy and saying they don't need to wait anymore since they're together now. Lai Weichen actually blushes at that, and the parents are absolutely sold, relieved that their daughter is finally in a stable relationship with a guy who has his life together. Once they're alone back at the cafe, Yufu breathes a sigh of relief and praises him for his top-tier acting skills. But Lai Weichen isn't exactly celebrating. He's actually pouting because she didn't recognize him from the start. I'm such an idiot, he mutters, feeling like his genuine feelings were just part of a script to her. Our girl, totally oblivious, promises she won't skimp on his payments since he helped her achieve her goal. As the parents head out, they promise not to intrude on the youngsters anymore. Yufu finally confronts him, asking why he hid who he was for so long. He deflects, asking how she plans to handle the marriage promise she just made to her parents. She's got it all figured out, though. She'll just tell them they broke up in 2 years. Lai Weichen suggests a petty alternative. Tell them it was me who broke it off. Think of it as making up for you breaking up with me in high school. She agrees way too fast, which honestly hurts his feelings a little bit. Suddenly, the sky opens up and it starts pouring. Lai Weichen tries to get dramatic, sighing that the heavens must be crying for his broken heart. But Yufu isn't having it. She ignores his heartbroken confession and runs off to find an umbrella. As he stands there in the rain, he remembers how he actually planned to confess to her back in the day. His family situation changed everything, but he's just glad he finally made it back to her. Yufu returns with a single umbrella for them to share, asking if he's here for revenge or something else. As they walk together, she mentions how she used to use the rain as an excuse to make him listen to her. He smiles softly, admitting he could never forget those days. We flash back to their school days where a blonde Lai Weichen is fast asleep at his desk. He wakes up to the sound of rain, realizing everyone else has already gone home, except for Yufu, who's been sitting there waiting for him. He's shocked she stayed, and she teases him, saying she was worried he'd run away because he's scared of her. She tells him to sit still and listen, and he nervously asks if she's trying to confess again. But our girl had a different plan even back then. She wanted him to pretend date her to piss off her parents. He's visibly disappointed that it's not a real confession, wondering why he feels so let down. Still, she offers her hand, officially starting their first day of dating in the rain. Back in the present, he tells her that he only learned to love the scent of rain because of that day. Even after all this time, she's still the most special person to him. Later that night, Yufu is relaxing at home when there's a knock at her door. It's a woman looking distressed, asking if Lai Weichen told her where he went. It turns out today is the anniversary of his father's death, and his mood always gets erratic this time of year. Yufu tries to stay calm, but the woman is terrified he might do something reckless. Our heroine immediately jumps into action, asking for the places he usually visits so she can track him down. She heads out into the storm, eventually finding her way to a dark, rain-slicked racetrack. Suddenly, the roar of an engine cuts through the rain. She watches in horror as a motorcycle loses control and wipes out right in front of her. Oh my god, are you okay? She screams, sprinting toward the fallen rider. It's Lai Weichen, and as he looks up at her through his visor, he's totally dazed. You really are special. You're even in my dreams, he mumbles, clearly not realizing she's actually there. She tries to help him up, but as he pulls his helmet off, he reaches out for her. Before she can say a word, he pulls her into a soaking wet, cinematic kiss right there on the track. The moment is intense and romantic, until Yufu regains her senses and delivers a massive slap to his face. You're well enough to steal my kiss? Seems like you're perfectly fine, she yells, her worry turning into pure rage. The sting finally wakes him up, and he realizes this isn't a dream after all. She scolds him for being so childish and riding a motorcycle in a storm just because he's grieving. She's furious, pointing out how much he would have hurt his mom if he'd actually gotten brain damage. She tells him she won't help him if he keeps acting like this, but as she turns to leave, he sits up and stops her. Yufu, he says, his voice soft and sincere, can you listen to some of my heartfelt words? Yufu asks if the girl from his past was actually a heartfelt word to him, but Weichen just sighs, claiming it's just a story. She agrees to get him medical help as long as he stops being a weirdo, and he finally gives in. But as the rain pours, Weichen warns her that the truth behind his past is far from a pleasant fairy tale. We go back to when he was just a little sprout who rarely saw his father. One night, he catches his dad trying to sneak out for work again. "Dad, don't go," he wails, desperately clinging to his father's coat. His dad promises to teach him how to play ball the next time he's home, but Weichen is already tired of the lies. Years pass, and the resentment only grows until he's a teenager screaming at his father for breaking every promise. He's heartbroken, demanding to know if making money is more important than his own family. Weichen is done with the excuses and decides to start behaving badly on purpose just to get his father's attention. He thought that if he became a delinquent, his dad would finally come back to discipline him. But all he ever got was the sight of his mother's sad and helpless expression, just when he's feeling completely lost and confused. Our girl appears like a ray of sunshine in his life. They start spending every moment together, walking to school and eating their way through the city. Our heroine is munching away, teasing him about how much money he's losing because he always pays for their snacks. He doesn't mind one bit, secretly loving every second of her company. Yufu eventually decides they need a change of scenery and suggests going to his house. He's blushing like crazy, probably thinking it's a date, but she's actually there to tutor him in earnest. She's the only one who doesn't judge him for being dumb and patiently shows him different ways to solve problems. In a moment of pure tension, she leans in incredibly close, whispering that she has something she needs to tell him. He holds his breath as she gets closer, wondering what grand confession is coming. But instead of a kiss, she just calls him a dummy and tells him to stop saying useless things and study harder. Talk about a mood killer. Still, her presence brings warmth back to his home, even helping him repair his relationship with his mom. In the present day, Yufu is piecing it all together, realizing this first love was the one who filled the hole his father left. Weichen admits he liked her, but his heart sinks when he realizes Yufu still hasn't figured out that she was that special tutor. "Then she truly completely forgot about us," he thinks, the pain in his eyes more visible than any physical injury. He's being stubborn and refuses to tell the rest of the story, even though he admits his heart hurts way more than his leg. He flashes back to a freezing winter day when things fell apart, right as she coldly told him that their cooperation was over. He received the most devastating text of his life. His father had passed away. At the funeral, he finally learns the truth. His dad wasn't a deadbeat. He was a hero serving as a military policeman on classified missions. He spent the rest of his life trying to fulfill his father's wishes, but he lost his own purpose in the process. Back in the hospital, Yufu is watching over him, telling him he can sleep since his mental state seems okay. He looks at her, hoping she can be the one to finally change his stagnant life. As she tries to leave to let him rest, he panics and shouts for her to wait. He grabs her hand and pulls her down for a dramatic, accidental hospital bed embrace. But the romance is instantly murdered when a voice chirps, "Oh my, look at those young people." They look up to find both of Yufu's parents and his own mother standing there, witnessing the whole spicy scene. The peace and quiet is officially over because the parents have arrived with impeccable timing. Weichen's mom is already treating our girl like family, grasping her hands and gushing about how she always knew these two would end up together. She starts lecturing Weichen, telling him he shouldn't do reckless things and make Yufu worry. Our heroine is internally screaming as the dad chimed in, saying she shouldn't hide something as important as a marriage from her future mother-in-law. It turns out, her parents have an extensive information network of gossipy aunties that would put the CIA to shame. Desperate to escape the awkwardness, Yufu suggests her parents head out so Weichen can rest. She leans in and whispers, "Let me and my parents leave so we don't have to keep acting." But Weichen is clearly enjoying the mother-in-law title a little too much. He looks at her with those puppy dog eyes and says, "Yufu, I think I'm still dreaming that we'll become one family." Our girl thinks he's just a master at improvising for the audience, but he softly adds that he wishes none of this was a dream. Yufu assumes he must have hit his head harder than she thought. But then her dad drops the real bombshell: they brought her luggage. They've decided that since she's on vacation, she should stay at the hospital and take care of Weichen until he's discharged. She tries to protest that she has work to do, but her parents aren't hearing it. When the moms start planning a rotating schedule of soup deliveries and hospital visits, Yufu realizes she won't get a second of peace. She quickly puts up a hand to stop the madness. "You're all getting on in years, traveling back and forth is stressful," she says with her best dutiful daughter face. "I can take care of Weichen by myself." The parents are absolutely delighted by how nice their future daughter-in-law is. Weichen gives her a smug little thank you, and she has to play along while her parents finally make their exit. Once they're finally alone, Yufu notices Weichen looks a bit flushed. She checks his temperature and realizes he's actually running a fever. She turns to get the doctor, but he grabs her hand to stop her. "I already pressed the nurse call button," he says softly. "I subconsciously didn't want you to leave me alone." Our girl wonders if he's acting this way because he's remembering his lonely childhood. She sighs and accepts his apology but warns him she'll settle the score once he's better. She laughs it off, telling him it won't take nearly that long. He looks at her with a gaze that could melt butter, joking that he might breathe fire if they keep talking. The next morning, Yufu wakes up after a night on a makeshift bed. Weichen is looking much better and is curious where she even found a bed. She proudly explains she bought it for cheap from a patient who was being discharged. She even shows off a back scratcher she got for free, telling him it's a pity he didn't hurt his hand so he could use it. "You're wearing such a cute outfit, yet you have such a sharp tongue," he teases, looking at her lemon-patterned pajamas. She ignores him and changes into a sharp business suit, preparing to handle some work emails while a caretaker takes him for his medical exam. Weichen immediately goes into full manipulation mode, sprouting metaphorical puppy ears. He looks at her with teary eyes, reminding her that she promised her parents she'd take good care of him. She realizes he's using her own parents to threaten her. Annoyed, she gives in and agrees to accompany him. Later, as she pushes his wheelchair through the hospital gardens, she complains that he's just wasting her time by playing on his phone. He tells her he was just sending his location to someone and truly wanted to enjoy the fresh air with her. Suddenly, a delivery driver pulls up. Weichen has ordered a mystery box, which turns out to be a pair of stylish sneakers. "I bought them for you," he says, "just try them on first." They fit perfectly, and Yufu is surprised he even guessed her size correctly. He tells her that while they might not be her usual style, they're much more comfortable than her heels. Our girl is touched and offers a genuine thank you. He leans in with a mischievous glint in his eyes and says, "Yufu, it's finally your turn to owe me for once. How do you plan to return the favor?" Our girl Yao Yufu is trying to be practical, telling Lai Weichen that paying him back with money is just too cliché. She jokes that he won't be needing a new pair of shoes anytime soon with that leg injury of his. "Let me treat you to a meal when you're discharged," she offers, giving him a playful pat on the head while he looks absolutely defeated. He's not exactly thrilled, grumbling that he expected something a bit more special, but he eventually agrees to let her treat him to a feast. Yufu tries to settle in and focus on her work, but a sudden dramatic scream breaks the silence. She rushes to his side, asking what's wrong, only for this man to look her in the eye and say the pain is actually refreshing. Our heroine is officially weirded out, wondering if Lai Weichen is secretly a total masochist. He questions why she's working so hard on her holiday, but she insists that double-checking details is just a habit she can't break. Just as she gets back to her laptop, a loud asterisk thump asterisk echoes through the room. Apples are rolling everywhere and there sits Lai Weichen, looking like the world's most pathetic patient. He asks her to wash an apple for him, and once she does, he has the audacity to ask her to peel it too. He even pulls out the injured puppy look, purposely showing off his Roman 4 needle to milk every drop of sympathy. She peels it so badly it looks like a crime scene, snapping that he can do it himself if he's such an expert. He hits her with a smirk, claiming he only wanted her to take a break and that he actually enjoyed the slight bit of pain from pulling his Roman 4 needle. Later that night, the drama turns up a notch when he grabs her sleeve, begging her to stop working. Yufu isn't having it, coldly stating that they aren't even friends, so they don't need to understand each other. But when a nurse walks in and tries to score Lai Weichen's contact info for a friend, our girl feels a sudden spark of possessiveness. The mood shifts instantly as he grabs Yufu's hand tightly, declaring to the nurse, "Sorry, it's not okay, because we are not just friends." Our girl plays along perfectly, flashing a stunning smile and announcing to the room, "We are a couple." Once the nurse leaves, Yufu tries to play it cool, telling the nurse she can have his number after they break up. Lai Weichen is low-key offended, asking if she's already planning his trash recycling phase. He's clearly not actually angry, though, as he watches her and thinks she's way too cute. To change the subject, Yufu explains the deep meaning behind her work with designer toys, saying they provide companionship so people don't feel lonely. Touched by her words, he tries to return the favor by hobbling over on his crutches to offer her a snack. She looks at him and blushes, teasingly saying he looks less like a ray of sunshine and more like one of her figurines. He's fake outraged that she's mocking his walk, but seeing her genuine laugh makes him melt. Even the elderly couple nearby can't help but comment on how sweet the newlyweds look. "We are not," Weichen starts to say, but he quickly pivots to keep the act going. "Lady, you are really sharp," our heroine Yufu adds with a nervous sweat. Weichen doubles down on the lie, telling everyone that while they aren't married yet, they'll be tied at the hip within 2 years, with a baby following shortly after. Our girl is internally screaming because this man is remembering the fake details way too clearly. An old man at the hospital tells Weichen he better cherish her because she brings good fortune, and Weichen actually looks sincere when he says she's made him a better man. Yufu snarks that he sounds like he was a total villain before they met. He insists he's always been presentable, and then he drops the ultimate flex: he can cook. Our girl is shook. He promises that even though he lives alone, he'll whip up some home-cooked meals for her once he's out of there. Yufu is genuinely touched because it's been ages since she had a meal made with love. He gets a bit solemn, mentioning he learned to cook as a distraction for his sister back in the day. Suddenly, he catches her staring at her phone and asks if it's more work. She quickly deletes a file titled Lai Weichen O's and vows to stay off her phone for the rest of the day to focus on him. He gives her a charming smile, promising to show off his kitchen skills the second he's discharged. A few weeks later, the big day arrives. He's feeling great and ready for some peace and quiet. But the second they open the gate pops, it's a full-blown discharge party organized by his mom and the neighbors. There's BBQ sizzling, music playing, and Yufu thinks it's all very sweet. That is, until she sees the giant banner wishing them a long-lasting marriage. The neighbors are already snapping photos and asking when the kids are coming. Yufu whispers to Weichen, asking if this was supposed to be a marriage party. They both realize they need to escape before the grannies start picking out names for their future children. Weichen fakes a sudden leg cramp, screaming in pain. Our girl catches on instantly, yelling about how the doctor said he couldn't sit for long, and she struggles to help him limp away to safety. Once they're away from the prying eyes, Yufu almost trips, and Weichen catches her in a classic K-drama move. The tension is high as they stare into each other's eyes under the stars. She lands against his chest, and for a moment, the fake engagement feels very real. She notices his leg magically stopped hurting, and he jokes that it must be the power of love. The old ladies watch them go, smirking because they know the injury was a total sham to get some alone time. They find a quiet bench to finally catch their breaths. Weichen tells her not to worry, mentioning that this leg cramp was nothing compared to the injuries he got catching fugitives as military police. Yufu is impressed by his meaningful past, and he tells her that right now, just sitting and chatting with her is the most meaningful thing of all. She laughs at his philosophical living in the present vibe, but she realizes she's actually enjoying her life more since he showed up. He sends her a text with his address, telling her she's welcome to stay at his place if the homestay gets too noisy. Yufu thinks he's being dramatic, but the next morning she learns the truth. Weichen's mom, Mrs. Lai, is at her door with a hospitality bombardment of fruit and conversation. Yufu tries to escape for a walk, but she's immediately ambushed by a squad of neighborhood grannies. "Good morning, future Mrs. Lai," they chirp, dealing a critical hit to her social battery. This isn't a one-time thing, it happens every single day. Even when she orders food delivery, the granny squad is there to judge and bless her. Finally, she snaps. She packs her bags and storms over to Weichen's modern house. He looks at her with a smug grin, noting that she looks like a refugee seeking asylum. Yufu doesn't care about the teasing. "I've decided," she declares. "I'm moving in with you." Our girl Yufu drops the ultimate bombshell. "I will move in with you." Lai Weichen is absolutely short-circuiting, his brain clearly buffering as he repeats, "Move in with me." He tries to play it cool, telling himself to get it together before asking what kind of scheme she's cooking up this time. Yufu flashes a peace sign, casually mentioning she just wants to rent his empty second floor. It's all part of a plan to pretend they're living together and fool her overbearing parents. She sweet-talks him, pointing out that he'll make extra cash and they'll both finally get some peace. But Lai Weichen isn't having it, shutting her down with a cold, "I refuse." Even when she offers to pay way above market price, he doesn't budge. She begs for just 1 week, but he remains a brick wall until she plays her trump card. "Lai Weichen, have you forgotten who took care of you in the hospital?" she demands, hitting him right in the guilt. She reminds him he owes her a massive favor, and suddenly his tune changes. He actually agrees, deciding he should let her stay for free to repay his debt. Our girl is stunned, while he looks like a smug cat who just caught the canary. He even jokes that he'd rather let her move in now than have to marry her in the next life to pay her back. While she's busy unpacking in her new room, she's still baffled by his sudden generosity. But there's no time for confusion because her mom is already video calling. Her parents are checking in, wanting to know if she's settled in with Weichen yet. Turns out they're already on their way for a surprise spot check. Yufu panics and goes looking for her roommate to warn him. She finds his bedroom door and calls out for him to come out. He asks if it's something urgent from the other side. The door opens to a very awkward situation, and Yufu's eyes are about to pop out of her head. She hangs up on her parents as fast as humanly possible, apologizing profusely for the accidental timing. But Weichen is enjoying this way too much, smirking at how flustered she is. Yufu looks like she's about to explode from the embarrassment. But then she decides to fight fire with fire and admits that, yeah, she was looking. He's completely thrown off that his teasing backfired so spectacularly. Later, Weichen tries to reclaim some dignity by offering to cook dinner. And wow, the man can actually cook. He serves up stir-fried pork with mushrooms like a pro. Yufu is in heaven, comparing his cooking to her own mother's. He tells her he'll keep cooking for her as long as she keeps the compliments coming. A light bulb goes off in Yufu's head. She realizes that between the marriage pressure at home and her hatred of delivery food, this is a gold mine. If I can eat for free at Lai Weichen's place, isn't that perfect? She thinks. She asks him if he genuinely likes to cook. He gives her a soft smile. He admits he loves it but hates eating alone, so he invites her to eat with him from now on. Yufu agrees instantly, promising to handle all the grocery shopping. He asks about breakfast, but she tells him she plans on doing morning jogs and eating out. The next morning arrives. Yufu heads out only to find Weichen already sitting outside at 6 a.m. He spots her and acts like he just finished a warm-up, suggesting they jog together. Yufu isn't buying it. Did you wake up at 6 a.m. just to wait for me? She asks. He stammers through an excuse about his athlete habits, even though it's already 8 a.m. Our girl thinks his acting is painfully unnatural, but she goes along with it. They hit the pavement together, and Weichen keeps rambling about his racer training. Yufu knows the truth, he just missed the company. She tells him it's actually nice to have a jogging partner. He's thrilled and starts planning a trip to a great breakfast shop afterward. But then Yufu comes to a dead halt. I won't be jogging anymore after this, she declares, realizing she'd much rather sleep in. Weichen looks like his entire world just crumbled. If he wants to keep her close, he's going to have to use his last resort. Our girl's attempt at being a fitness queen ends before it even begins, as she realizes her post-grad stamina is absolutely non-existent. She officially retires from morning jogs, leaving Lai Weichen completely devastated because his master plan to spend more time with her is officially in the gutter. But don't worry, our boy has a secret weapon up his sleeve, and he's ready to pull out his last resort. Enter the ultimate wingman, a fluffy golden retriever. Yao Yufu is instantly obsessed, demanding to know where this adorable ball of fur came from. Lai Weichen plays it cool, explaining he got the dog from his old comrades when he retired. But he went through the trouble of bringing it home specifically because he remembered she was a dog lover. He's looking at her with those puppy dog eyes himself, hoping this earns him some major brownie points. The dog is a total natural, immediately showering our girl with affection. It triggers a sweet memory for Yao Yufu, who remembers promising back in high school that she'd help him walk his dog if he ever got one. However, the plan backfires slightly when Lai Weichen realizes the dog is getting more attention than he is. Why do I feel like this dog is a nuisance? He grumbles to himself. The dog decides to turn the chaos up to 11, howling and jumping around like a maniac. In the middle of the zoomies, the pup accidentally sends Yao Yufu flying backward. But Lai Weichen is faster than a speeding bullet, diving in to catch her before she hits the floor. We get a top-tier romantic moment as he cradles her head, the atmosphere suddenly dripping with tension. Are you okay? He asks, his voice probably dropping an octave. Looking up at him, our girl is internally screaming because, let's be real, the man is a total snack from this angle. They both realize how close they are and pull away, faces turning a bright shade of tomato red. Yao Yufu can't handle the heat and makes a run for it, claiming she needs to check if the dog is destroying the room. She slams the door, clutching her face and dying of embarrassment over the fact that she actually called him handsome out loud. Inside the room, the dog is indeed causing a mess, knocking stuff off the shelves. A small black box falls, and our girl barely catches it in time. Inside, she finds a simple ballpoint pen that looks strangely familiar. Lai Weichen walks in and catches her holding it, admitting that this isn't just any pen, it's the most precious thing he owns. Flashback time, back in their high school days, Yao Yufu was busy tutoring a very stressed Lai Weichen. He was terrified of failing his entrance exams, so our sweet heroine gave him her lucky pen to boost his confidence. She even wrote "Do your best" right on his palm, a memory he clearly tucked away in his heart forever. Back in the present, he reveals he only uses that pen for the most important moments of his life. Yao Yufu finally remembers the pen but is shocked he kept it all this time, especially since she thought it was just a cheap brand. He makes it clear that he doesn't just give out meaningful gifts to anyone. To celebrate their first happy chat, he invites her to a rooftop BBQ. The vibes are immaculate as they grill meat under the stars. Yao Yufu is genuinely touched, telling him that being his housemate is actually a lot of fun. She gets all sentimental, calling him her first friend. Our boy takes the opening, looking her dead in the eye with a gaze that says "friendzone who?" as he asks, "What if I don't just want to be friends with you?" But what if I don't just want to be friends with you? Our girl is momentarily stunned by Lai Weichen's sudden intensity, but she's a pro at pivoting. She turns her attention back to the adorable golden retriever, promising Goldie a meaty treat for being such a good boy. Weichen is visibly miffed, huffing that she actually gave the dog such a basic name. You can't just call him golden retriever, she argues, insisting that their Goldie is special. Seeing her bright, happy smile as she plays with the dog, Weichen's icy exterior melts. He admits that his mother never let him have pets, and between work and training, he never had the time, until now. Thanks to you, I can realize my dream, he says softly, suggesting they raise the pup together. Our heroine is all in, even offering to cover the food costs. The next morning, the domestic bliss continues. Yufu pours a fresh bowl of kibble for Goldie. Watching the happy pup chow down, she checks her phone to find a string of thoughtful messages from Weichen. He's already headed to the track but left her breakfast and lunch in the fridge. Looking at the perfectly organized containers, she realizes he's actually the best housemate she's ever had. It's a far cry from her past experiences. She remembers a former roommate who was a total workaholic, constantly stressed and complaining about every little noise. It makes her wonder if she'd been more like Weichen, balancing work and life. Maybe she wouldn't have been so lonely. But just as she's enjoying her peaceful meal, duty calls. Her boss, Mr. Jia, rings her up with an urgent crisis that requires her to come back to the office immediately. The crisis turns out to be a massive opportunity, a motor racer blind box series. There's just one problem. The star racer they need for the collaboration has flat out refused to work with them. And of course, that racer is none other than Lai Weichen. Mr. Jia knows Yufu is a miracle worker when it comes to difficult talent, so he puts the entire deal on her shoulders. Confident because she literally lives with the guy, Yufu heads to the practice circuit. To her surprise, the staff is expecting her because Weichen already told them she was coming. He's waiting for her by his bike, looking like a total heartthrob in his leather jacket. He's blunt, though. He's meeting her as a friend, and he's still not interested in the collaboration. Yufu doesn't give up. She launches into a high-energy pitch, showing him the sleek designs on her tablet. Weichen listens with a smile, even complimenting her lively explanation. She thinks she's nailed it, but he shuts her down instantly. "I won't sign the contract," he says firmly. Our girl is desperate now. She approaches him, asking if there's anything he's dissatisfied with. He leans in, his voice dropping. "I'm not satisfied with how you keep talking about work." He wants her there as his friend, not a vendor. If she keeps pushing the business angle, she'll be chased off the track. "Fine, two can play at that game. I'm just here to watch you practice as a friend," she chirps, hiding her ulterior motives. While he takes a break, she hands him a bottle of mineral water. But it's not just any water. It's a special edition bottle featuring a cute panda design from her company. She tells him he'll be in a better mood just looking at the panda's face. He takes a sip, looking her dead in the eye. "Indeed, looking at this face, I can be in a good mood." He's definitely not talking about the panda, and our girl is blushing like crazy. Her subtle marketing seems to be working, though, as he gets strangely stingy when his teammate tries to grab a sip of the special water. She meets his teammate, Wenhao, who is surprised to learn that the acquaintance Weichen invited is actually a high-level director. Wenhao tries to comfort her, saying it's no big deal if Weichen rejects the collab, but Yufu is determined to make it a win-win for everyone. Suddenly, the roar of engines fills the air. Weichen is back on the track, and he is a beast on two wheels. Yufu watches with her heart in her throat as he leans dangerously low into the turns. He passes his opponent with ease and takes first place, possibly breaking his own record. Seeing him celebrate with his team, Yufu feels a pang of envy. He has it all: the skills, the fame, and the friends. She reminds herself that she's there for a deal, not to daydream. When she congratulates him, she tries to sneak in the merch angle again, mentioning how her friend is already a huge fan who wants to buy his merchandise. Wenhao tries to pull Weichen away from meeting with the manager, but Weichen snaps at him not to interrupt their conversation. This is the final straw for Wenhao. He realizes that Yufu is the secret reason Weichen has been acting so strange lately, hiding out in the hospital and stealing his godson, the golden retriever. "I won't help you keep your secret then," Wenhao declares, turning to our heroine. "Yao Yufu actually Weichen is..." Our girl can only blink in confusion. What kind of secret is Lai Weichen hiding? A friend reveals that while Weichen doesn't care for normal hobbies like blind boxes, he has a dangerous obsession with motorcycle racing. Our girl is shocked, but the friend explains that for Weichen, racing is a way to feel alive. "No," she whispers, realizing the weight of his words. Weichen later admits that he doesn't race for fun, but because the thrill makes him feel like he's actually living in the moment and keeps him sober. Our heroine remembers him saying something similar in the hospital, that pain was the only thing that kept him grounded. It turns out racing is just another form of that pain for him, a desperate way to connect with a reality he otherwise finds dull. Our poor girl starts to worry that he only seeks out these life-threatening thrills because he has absolutely no interest in living a normal life. She decides right then and there that she needs to change his perspective. In that case, she thinks, "I will start with the small details in life and show him the fun in the little things." Step 1 of her master plan involves her adorable dog, Goldie. She tries to teach Goldie a cute trick based on a viral heart-shaped blind box series. She's convinced that if she can get Goldie to look precious enough, even the ice-cold Weichen will be moved. She waits for him to return home, and as soon as the door opens, she's ready. She greets him with her best good morning and a look that could melt a glacier. Poor Weichen is so caught off guard that he literally slams the door back shut in her face. He's leaning against the wood, blushing like a schoolboy because Yufu looked absolutely too cute for his heart to handle. She was even wearing cat ears. He realizes that if she had made any request at that moment, he would have agreed to it instantly, no matter how boring it was. Our girl, however, thinks her plan failed miserably. She sighs, thinking Weichen is just too determined and won't even fall for a cute dog's charms. But she isn't giving up yet. She's got more tricks up her sleeve. She asks him to help her with some heavy packages, and Weichen is suspicious, wondering if the boxes are literally filled with rocks. It turns out she bought a ton of gardening supplies. She explains that his yard is way too empty and she wants to plant flowers to brighten it up. She promises to take care of them and even remove them when she eventually leaves. Weichen looks at her softly and says that if she's the one planting them, he doesn't mind having them there at all. He even offers to help, making our girl's heart skip a beat. She starts bossing him around, telling him to fill the pots with exactly 80% soil. She hopes that seeing green plants every time he leaves the house will improve his mood and help him feel the reality of life through something other than danger. Weichen stares at her and says that while he isn't sure about the plants, he knows for a fact that she can make him feel that way. Our girl is thrilled, thinking he's finally giving in to the joy of the little things. She tries to push her luck and bring up blind boxes again, but Weichen suddenly claims he's sleepy and makes a break for it the second he hears the word. She grabs his hand to stop him, telling him she also wants to cook for him. He admits he's a terrible cook and asks her to just watch from the side, but then he changes his mind. He grabs her hand back and says he'll teach her his skills instead. Our girl gets nervous, wondering if he's trying to scare her off with tough training, but she stands her ground. "I'm not afraid, I will definitely learn how to cook," she declares. Weichen smiles, noting that she's always so determined when it comes to learning. He thinks to himself that in her current state, it's actually possible for her to be influenced by him. He tells her he'll try his best to influence her, then quickly corrects himself to say teach her. In the kitchen, Yufu is ready to go, having prepared all the ingredients with lightning speed. She thinks she knows what she's doing because she's watched plenty of cooking videos. But then she starts pouring soy sauce into the pan like she's trying to drown the meat. Weichen panics, yelling for her to stop, but she's confused, wondering if that was really too much. She tries to fix the saltiness by adding a ton of water, which Weichen points out will just turn her stir-fry into a sad meat soup. She pivots to vegetables, thinking they'll be easier, but the moment she gets distracted, they turn into charcoal. Finally, Weichen has to step in and save the meal. 10 minutes later, they're sitting down to a meal that looks surprisingly edible. Our girl feels guilty, admitting she didn't expect practice to be so much harder than the videos. Weichen is a total gentleman, telling her it's all right and that she did a great job helping. He even says she makes him actually want to cook. She starts feeling proud, wondering if a true talent is being a chef's helper. But as Weichen takes a bite, he starts coughing violently. She rushes to get him water, but he grabs her wrist to stop her. He admits the meat is incredibly salty, but says it's actually nice when paired with plenty of rice. He tells her that he's never realized a small thing like cooking could bring him such happiness. He tells her he's found a new way of connecting to real life, but when she asks what it is, he teasingly refuses to tell her. She keeps rambling about the joy of blind boxes until he reaches out and puts a finger to her lips. "Shush," he whispers, telling her he just wants to focus on her and the food, not work or hobbies. But just as things are getting sweet, a new player enters the game. A mysterious, handsome man arrives at the airport, back from France for business. He's got his sights set on finding his goddess of hope, and it turns out his target is none other than our girl Yufu. Get ready, because things are about to get complicated. Just look at this picture-perfect couple, but don't let the romance fool you, because the drama is about to dial up to an 11. Far away from this serene scene, a taxi weaves through the busy city streets, heading toward a place known as the Abode. Inside, a mysterious man with striking red hair is on a mission. "I'm here to see my goddess," he tells the driver with a confident smirk. To him, this woman isn't just a person. She is the most sacred existence in his heart, a literal beacon of light in his life. His devotion isn't just some random crush, it goes way back to a time of pure struggle. Years ago in the freezing cold, he was nothing but a poor boy selling matchbox paintings on the street just to survive. "Please buy my picture books," he would plead, shivering in the snow, fearing he would starve to death on Christmas Eve. He was at his absolute lowest, staring at the world with hollow eyes. That's when our girl appeared like a literal miracle. Dressed like royalty and radiating kindness, she told him that his talent was far too great for the gutters. "Come, leave this place and come with me to heaven," she said, reaching out a hand to save him. Because of her, he transformed from a street urchin into a world-class blind box designer. He knows she's been struggling with a difficult client lately, and he wants to be the hero who saves her. He's so eager to see her that he hops out of the taxi the moment he sees the riverfront. "This river scenery is so pretty," he exclaims, feeling inspired by the view. He decides to sketch the scenery as a surprise gift for Ms. Yufu, imagining the look of joy on her face when he finally appears at her homestay. He's feeling himself totally lost in his artistic flow. But then a sudden gust of wind catches his drawing. "Ah, my painting," he cries out, lunging forward to save his masterpiece. He thinks he's got those main character reflexes, but gravity has other plans. With a massive splash, our poor designer dives headfirst into the freezing river. Luckily, Weichen is nearby on his motorcycle and spots the disaster unfolding. He doesn't hesitate for a second, diving into the water to pull the drowning man out. As the bubbles rise, it's a total chaotic meet-cute for our two male leads. Once they're back on dry land, the red-haired designer is shivering but grateful. "Thanks for saving me," he says, offering a handshake. "I am Yan." Weichen stares at him, the name sounding strangely familiar. He looks Yan up and down, wondering why on earth someone who can't swim would go jumping into a river. Yan sighs, explaining that his grand surprise for his goddess of hope has literally gone down the drain. Weichen raises an eyebrow. Goddess of hope, is she your crush? He asks. Yan turns bright red, stuttering that he would never dare overstep his boundaries with his goddess. Weichen can't help but chuckle at how naive the kid is, thinking he reminds him of his own high school days. He wishes Yan the best of luck, thinking he's just a harmless, nice guy. But the peace is shattered when a voice calls out to a dog named Goldie. Yan freezes, his eyes lighting up with pure excitement. "Ms. Yufu," he shouts, his heart practically leaping out of his chest. Our girl walks in, looking stunning even in her workout gear. "Yan," she gasps, completely shocked to see him there. Yan plays it off as a total coincidence, but Weichen's face immediately drops into a stony glare. The realization hits him like a freight train. The goddess Yan was talking about is Yufu. Yufu is clearly a bit embarrassed by the goddess title, but she's mostly concerned about why Yan is soaking wet. Yan tries to act cool, but he looks like a pathetic, drenched pup. He explains the whole river drawing disaster while Weichen watches from the sidelines, unimpressed by this little puppy routine. Weichen decides to mark his territory immediately. "Unfortunately, your goddess already has a dog," he says, leaning back with a smug look. He starts petting Goldie, showing off just how comfortable he is in Yufu's space. Suddenly, it clicks for Weichen. He remembers Yufu mentioning a brilliant designer named Yan who was coming to help her. Wait, if Yan is here to help Yufu persuade an annoying client and Weichen is the client, then Yan is actually here to deal with him. Yan explains that he's here to find inspiration and see Yufu, but Weichen can see right through it. He realizes Yan is lying about his true motives just so Yufu won't feel pressured. Not bad, Weichen thinks, actually impressed by the kids' consideration. Yufu introduces them, explaining that she and Weichen have been friends since high school and she's currently staying at his place. Yan's jaw hits the floor. He realizes that the annoying client he was supposed to help Yufu with is the very man who just pulled him out of the river. The shock is so intense he looks like his soul is leaving his body. Weichen leans in, telling Yan to get rid of any weird thoughts. "I refuse to collaborate because I'm just not interested," he says coldly. Yan tries to argue, claiming Weichen just hasn't seen his best work yet. But Weichen isn't budging, shutting him down at every turn. Sensing the tension, Yufu tries to change the subject, asking if Yan has a place to stay. Yan admits that every hotel in the area is booked solid because it's peak season. He found one room, but it's incredibly far away. Yufu, being the angel she is, offers to make a travel itinerary and show him around the attractions tomorrow. Weichen's jealousy meter hits the red zone. If this keeps up, Yufu is going to spend all her time with this puppy designer. He suddenly flashes a brilliant fake smile. "Why don't you just stay here?" he suggests. "There's an empty room on the first floor, and it would be much more convenient." Yan is over the moon. "Thank you so much, Mr. Landlord, please treat me well," he cheers. But behind those smiles, both men are sharpening their knives. Yan is determined to use this time to win over the client and stay close to Yufu. Meanwhile, Weichen's plan is to keep Yan under his roof so he can keep a constant eye on him and stop him from getting any alone time with our girl. Yufu watches them shake hands, completely oblivious to the silent war happening right in front of her. Have they already become good friends? She wonders, totally misreading the room. Oh honey, they aren't friends. They are roommates in a house that's about to catch fire.